welcome to After Village Kitchen, the home of traditional African delights. Today we are going to learn how to make jollof rice. If you are struggling with jollof rice, this is where you need to be, because I give you the techniques, the tips, the know-how to get it right. Yes, it's so easy, you won't believe it. You'll be cooking jollof like a pro. So stay right here with me on my channel. Whilst you are here, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And don't forget to turn on your notification button, because there are more recipes coming your way and you don't want to miss out. And also, don't forget to share and recommend my channel, because others need to know this. They need to have some tips in their kitchen and some hacks in their kitchen so that they cook some good food, and most importantly, to enjoy cooking. So stay right here with me as we make jollof rice. So let's go through my ingredients here. Simple. Jollof rice ingredients are just simple. So we have rice. Yes, some rice here. It's jollof rice, so we definitely have rice. And we've got tomatoes. This is normal canned tomatoes, plum tomatoes, and passata. For my formula, I use passata, but you can use fresh tomatoes as well. But this is plum tomatoes and passata, which has been simmered down into this deep red rich color. I will check my other video on how I make this. And it's not just for your jollof rice, for your wache stew, for all other tomato-based sauces. You can get it this way. It gives it a really good, lovely taste and color. If you're looking for color and good taste, please do this. And I've got my onion and ginger and garlic blended here with some pepper. So basically this is exactly the amount that I have blended in here. So it's some onions, about 4 onions, some garlic, some ginger, lots of ginger. I love garlic, I love onions, so lots of it go in there, and some pepper to give it some heat. And I blended my onions and ginger with oil, so that it quickens the process when it is stewing down. So no water, so I used oil, but I am going to, because of that, I will not add a lot of oil in my tomatoes, because my onion blend has a lot of oil. And I'll be using my spice blend. If you don't know about my 10 spice blend, it was specifically made for jollof rice, but it's great with chicken, fish, meat, for seasoning, for your tomato-based sauces. It is fantastic. So here it is, my 10 spice blend. If you haven't, this 10 spice blend contains nkete, which is aniseed, pepper, which is cloves, rosemary, ginger, garlic. So lots and lots of spices that you would usually use in your tomato-based sauce. It is here. And I need some salt for taste. So this is basically the ingredients you need to start your jollof rice. So we are starting our jollof rice with a bit of oil. I'm not going to use that much oil in here, because I blended my onions and garlic and ginger with oil. So all I need is just a tiny bit of oil to start it with. And now that it's hot, I add in my ginger, garlic and onion blend. The reason why I blend it with oil is it makes the cooking time very quick. It cuts down the cooking time. So it doesn't take that long time for all that water to simmer out, because there's not that much water in here. So now all that we need is to get it to cook nicely, and we are done. So we need to get this to fry nicely. Whilst it's frying, add your spices. I am using my 10 spice blend. If you don't have my 10 spice blend, use some rosemary, some curry powder, some ginger, garlic. Well, you have lots of ginger and garlic already in your onion blend, but add some fresh rosemary, so dried rosemary, nkete, which is aniseed, cloves, some curry powder, definitely, because my spice blend has curry powder, so I'm not using any here. Add some aniseed. If you want the full recipe for this jollof rice, I have a well measured out recipe in my Ghanaian 101 recipe book, my 101 Ghanaian cuisine. It's my recipe book, which is downloadable on all your smart devices, and I have so many, over 30 recipes in there, some traditional recipes and much more. So do go to my website www.afradvillagekitchen.com and grab one for yourself. It's so cheap. It's £2.99 only. You can pay via PayPal, or if you're in the UK, by direct debit. But a full recipe is there for you to help you get the jollof rice recipe easily done. So guys, this is how quickly this onion cooks. Okay, so I received, whilst making this video, I received some visitors and I turned my eye away for 5 minutes and it's almost getting burnt. Right now it's okay, but it's not that burnt. It's still good. It's a little bit charred, but it has stewed down really, really well, just like how I like it. And you see how much oil has come out of it. So next is to put in the simmered tomatoes, which is now has been simmered into a lovely, lovely paste. You can use a bit of water to try and get all of this out if you find it difficult to get all of it out of the pot. But simmering your tomatoes don't only cut down your cooking time for the stew, it prevents all that splatter you would have if you were, putting in the freshly blended tomatoes. So it will cut down your time, it will, stop all that splatter that you have on your stove, and it will give it a lovely, deep, rich color and taste as well. So just look at this. I just need some few more minutes, 15 minutes, for everything to marry nicely, and then I'll check the seasoning and add salt. If I need any extra seasoning, I add it. My tip here is to make sure your tomato base is well seasoned and very, I would say, over seasoned, so that the taste, when you add the rice to it, the taste infuses into the rice and there's still some left. So make sure it's really, really well seasoned. Now my tomato stew has been frying for about 15 minutes, and this is the points that you need to check whether your the taste is good, the flavor has developed. I have checked and the flavor is there, but it needs some salt. I haven't added any salt so far, so I'm going to add the salt and let it marry nicely, and then I'll check if it is tasty. You want your tomato sauce to be tasty, I would say overly tasty, so that you know that once you put in the rice, it kind of infuses the rice and there's still enough taste left. Another point to notice, as you can see in here, there's not much oil in this. It's good because we've got quite a bit of oil. This is quite a bit of jollof rice that I'm making, because I'm looking at it lasting us for about some couple of days. So it's quite a bit of jollof, so I've used quite a bit of oil. And the tip here is, when you want a really rich kind of jollof, you want a bit of oil in there to be able to fry your rice when you add in the rice, and it's nice and rich. You can also have it like this, but it may not look, it will taste good, but it will not look as rich. Thirdly, you don't want to have too much oil. Too much oil, like a whole layer of oil on here, won't be good, because your jollof rice will end up being too oily. You barely can barely eat such jollof rice. Okay, for me, it's just too oily. I can't eat it. So you want a bit of oil in there, but not too much. So for me, this oil is, I'm just going to top it up just a tiny bit. So you can do this, okay? So when whatever oil you start off with, if you are at this point and you see that you have a whole layer of oil, please take some out, okay? Skim of it, some of it out. If you don't have enough oil, you want it to look about like this. There's a bit of oil in there, but not too much. If you don't have this kind of look, then by all means add a bit of oil. If you don't add that much oil, it's okay. You have a very good tasting, very healthy jollof, but it will not be that rich kind of jollof. Sometimes when you're eating jollof, you want to really feel the jollof, and this is what you want to have, just a tiny bit of oil on the surface. So now I'm going to add in my rice, and you see I have washed my rice or rinsed my rice in a colander. This helps to drain most of the water, and you do this because you want to be able to measure the amount of water you are using in your jollof, or you're adding to your jollof rice. If you don't do this, it gets, sometimes you have a lot of water left in, and it becomes difficult to judge if you're a newbie in cooking jollof rice and you're not very good with it. So if you are measuring, I sometimes measure, but I can also eyeball. But if you are new to this, do measure. For a full recipe with measurements, please check my recipe book, which is my Ghana 101, my 101 Ghanaian cuisine. It is all there for you, measured really well for you. So now you can see that I've added in the rice, and I have mixed it all nicely, and you can see a good balance of rice to stew. This is what you want. If you add in the rice and there's too much excess stew, this one you can see almost every rice is coated in stew. If you have too much stew, you will know. If you don't have enough stew too, you will know. So if you are cooking without measurements and you are trying to gauge how much do I need, add your rice slowly at a time, so that when you mix it up and you find out that you have too much stew, or the stew and rice balances, you know you are okay. You want it to look like this. So I haven't added any water at all at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it and let it stew for about a minute or two, just to let the flavors from the stew to infuse the rice and get it, nice and flavorful, and the layer, the layer of rice on the outer layer of the rice gets coated nicely with the flavor from the stew. Okay, I hope you understand. If you have any questions, by all means send me a comment. That's why there's a comment box, and ask questions. Let's interact. Though it's just a recorded video, you can always ask questions. I'm on Instagram and I cook it live there as well, so you have the opportunity to see it and ask questions as much as you want. Okay, so I am back, and I'm going to add in my water. I'm adding boiled water so that it cooks quickly. It doesn't lower the temperature. If I use normal tap water, it will lower the temperature of my rice, and it will slow the whole process down. So I've boiled some water in my kettle, and I'm adding the water, and I'm measuring the water because I want my rice to be single. To cook nicely and not too wet. So you may want to measure your water, or you need to, not may, you need to measure your water and know how much water you are adding. By experience, you can also eyeball it and know that, this amount of water will cook my rice. You should know the type of rice you are using. These are tips. My rice can be different from yours, so you need to know, first of all, know the type of rice you are using, and you cook the rice to the recommended cooking directions. All right, so there are ways of cooking your jollof rice. You can use the steaming method. You can use, just like you're boiling normal rice. Know how much water is needed to cook your rice and add about the same. If you want to use the steaming method, which is just a bit of water, some water in there to cook the rice, but not as much as you would use to cook your normal rice. So this is what you do. So like right now, I added water. There's not even a layer of water on this. So I'll just add a bit to have just a bit of water on the surface. Just a tiny bit. I'm going to use the steaming method, okay, to cook this. But I just want a bit of water on the surface to get my rice boiling and cooking. So this is it. And I'm going to taste and correct seasoning with salt, because now that I've added in my rice, the flavors have diffused a bit. So do test and add enough salt to correct yourself. Right, so now most of the water has simmered into the rice, but the rice hasn't cooked. It's nowhere near cooked. So because I'm using the steaming method, I'm going to trap in a lot of steam by using this parchment paper. You can use aluminium foil as well, but you want to use something that will help you trap a lot of steam in here. Okay, so and you put it on a low heat, medium heat to start with. When it's getting really cooked, turn it down further to a lower heat. If you realize that your rice is still hard when it's been cooking for a while, add some water. What you do is you add the water on this top here to generate more steam in there. And that steam will help soften your rice. And that's it. So basically cover it and let this cook. This could take about 30-40 minutes depending on the quantity of rice that you are cooking. So now it's been about 15 minutes and I've moved it from my medium-sized burner to my smallest burner because I could smell a bit of burning and I didn't want it to burn. So as soon as I had that smell, I came back and I moved it to my smallest burner, and I have stirred it a bit. You need to stir it so that you have everything distributed nicely, because the bottom bit will start cooking really well whilst the top bit hasn't cooked maybe at all, or is still quite hard. So you need to stir it and distribute it nicely. And I've had a try. It's still quite hard. Okay, you have a taste, and then you see it's still quite hard, but I'm looking for those single kind of rice, if you understand. If you're from Ghana and West Africa, you understand what we mean by it's being single grained when you have jollof rice. But it's looking good, but there's not much water in here. So what I'm going to do is, this is what I was telling you about, you add a bit of water to help with the steam. So I'm adding just about some boiled water on the top here to generate steam whilst it's still cooking. So it is still on here and on my lowest heat because I don't want the bottom to burn, and I want it to be able to generate. So to help it generate steam quickly, turn up the heat a little bit, get that heat to start generating the steam. As soon as the steam begins to generate, turn down the heat and let it cook slowly. At this, when it's like this, the bottom will not burn too much or even at all. If you want some kanzo, when we call the bottom of the jollof rice, which is burnt a bit, then you can let it go a bit, but not too much. Otherwise your jollof rice will smell of burnt jollof. So now it's almost ready. It's ready actually, but I just wanted to go a little bit further because I've got time. When you take the sheet off, the baking sheet off, you see I've got a bit of water still on. You don't want to pour it back in just yet, just in case you don't need any more water. If you need more water, then by all means add that in here, but you don't. You have to, well, don't do it first. Check that your rice is nice and cooked first, or you need it before you pour the water in. So as you can see, it's nice, it's cooked, it's soft, nice, and it is soft. and it's single grained because I used more steam. If you didn't want to use water and you just measured your correct amount of water at the beginning, it would be a little bit wetter than this, but it's also good jollof rice, so don't panic. Okay, as you become a pro, try a little at a time to work with the steam to cook your jollof rice on low heat, and it cooks it really nice and well. Remember to stir it now and then, not too much stirring. Maybe every 30 minutes you give it a stir to mix it all up, so that you have the top bits go to the bottom to cook nicely and the bottom bits can come to the top. So there you have your jollof rice. I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions, send me a comment, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, recommend, share this channel with your friends and family, and I am always happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Bye.